What's the most unfair thing you've ever seen in sports? A boxer fighting someone 2 weight classes lower? A basketball player dunking on middle schoolers? Mike Tyson, in his prime, fighting literally anyone? Now imagine that level of mismatch happening every single week in the NFL for an entire season. That was Randy Moss in 2007, a 6'4" receiver with jets for legs, running routes against cornerbacks who looked like they were moving through honey. So today, we're breaking down exactly how good Randy Moss was in 2007, and which better place to start than the number that changed everything. Randy Moss caught 23 touchdown passes in 2007. The previous record was 22, held by Jerry Rice. Moss broke it with 3 games left in the season, then kept going because why stop at time when you can obliterate? I mean, Moss made it look like he was playing against his little brother's Pop Warner team. Defenders would be all over him. Double coverage, sometimes triple coverage. Didn't matter. Brady would throw it up like a prayer, and Moss would come down with it like he'd made a deal with gravity to just leave him alone. He scored from everywhere. Red zone, midfield, deep down the field. If the ball was airborne within a 5-yard radius of Moss, you might as well start the touchdown celebration early. 23 touchdowns in 16 games. That's more than 1 per game for an entire season against NFL defenses who knew he was getting the ball and still couldn't stop him. The touchdowns tell you he was dominant, but what they don't tell you is the absolute disrespect he showed defenders while getting them. Randy Moss turned cornerbacks into traffic cones. The deep ball was basically a cheat code. If Moss got even half a step on you, start jogging back to the sideline because the play is over. He had 4.25 speed and a 6'4" frame. Cornerbacks couldn't keep up. Safeties looked like they were running in quicksand. Coaches watched film trying to find answers. There was no scheme that consistently worked. No defensive coordinator who didn't look like he'd aged 5 years after playing the Patriots. Speed and athleticism only tell part of the story, though. What separated Moss from everyone else was something that made defenders want to retire on the spot. Randy Moss had hands that could catch a comet. The term "getting mossed" came from his ability to catch balls over defenders. When a receiver jumps up and takes the ball away from a cornerback in coverage, that's getting mossed. Like getting dunked on in basketball, except more embarrassing, because it's directly your job to prevent it. He created the term and made it his personal brand of destruction. Cornerbacks would be right there, perfect coverage, hand in the passing lane, following every coaching point they'd ever learned. Moss would just reach over them like they were children and snatch it away. The defender would look around confused, like he'd done everything right and still ended up on a highlight reel for all the wrong reasons. Because sometimes perfect coverage doesn't matter when the receiver is operating on a different level of existence than you. Those hands mattered because Brady kept feeding him the ball like he was trying to set a world record, which, spoiler alert, he was. Randy Moss caught 98 passes in 2007. Solid number, really good actually. Hall of Fame type production. But here's the thing, he could have had way more if the Patriots hadn't been beating teams so badly that they started feeling bad about it. They'd be up by 30 points in the 4th quarter. Moss would already have 2 touchdowns at 120 yards. Brady would stop throwing his direction and let the backup running back eat clock like it was an all-you-can-eat buffet. Not because Moss couldn't get open, but because continuing to score would have been considered a war crime. Even playing with the brakes on late in games, Moss still finished with numbers that looked like someone made them up. 1,493 receiving yards, 98 catches, 23 touchdowns. And here's the plot twist. Moss was 30 years old. Most receivers are starting to collect Social Security checks at that age. Moss was having the best year of his career, like he'd found the fountain of youth, and it tasted like touchdown passes. So what changed? Why was 2007 so different from every other season in his career? Well, the answer is pretty obvious. Tom Brady. Before 2007, Moss played for the Raiders. Bad team, worse quarterbacks. A situation so terrible that it made prison look appealing. Moss looked done. People even said he'd given up. Said his best years were collecting dust in a museum somewhere. Said he was coasting to retirement. Then, the Patriots traded for him. They gave up a 4th-round pick. Everyone in the media laughed. Called it a desperation move, said Belichick had lost his mind. But Moss showed up in New England with a chip on his shoulder, the size of a Toyota. Brady showed up ready to throw him the ball until his arm fell off. The fit was perfect. Peanut butter, meat, and jelly. Brady's accuracy meant Moss didn't have to adjust to bad throws that looked like wounded ducks. Brady's trust meant Moss got targets even when defenders were hanging off him like Christmas ornaments. Brady's intelligence meant he knew exactly when to give Moss a chance to go up and get it, and Moss repaid that trust by catching everything that came within a zip code of his hands. Obviously, it wasn't just talent. It was talent meeting opportunity, meeting perfect timing. A great receiver finally getting a great quarterback after years of playing catch with guys who threw like they were blindfolded. The result? The most dominant receiving season the NFL has ever seen. Now, here's a fun one. Randy Moss's impact on the Patriots offense went beyond just his own stats. Wes Welker caught 112 passes that year for 1,175 yards. Why? Because defenses were so obsessed with Moss that Welker was running free underneath like he was invisible. Dante Stallworth had 697 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jabbar Gaffney had 449 yards. Both guys benefited from being the third and fourth option, while Moss got double and tripled. Brady won MVP, threw 50 touchdown passes, set records. Why? Because he had Randy Moss making impossible catches, turning 5-yard gains into 60-yard touchdowns. The entire offense ran through Moss, not because he demanded the ball, because defenses couldn't ignore him, even for one play. That's the mark of true greatness, making everyone around you better by just existing on the field. Moss didn't just have a great season. He elevated an entire offense to historic levels. He was the sun. Everyone else was orbiting around him. But let's also talk about consistency, because that's what separates one great season from a legendary one. Moss scored in 12 of the 16 regular season games. To put that in perspective, that's 75% of games ending with at least one Moss touchdown. He had multiple touchdown games 8 times. There were no off weeks, no disappearing acts, no quiet games where Moss was a non-factor. Even in games where he didn't score, he'd have 100+ yards and forced defenses to dedicate so many resources to him that everyone else ate. That reliability is rare. Most receivers have hot streaks and cold streaks, up weeks and down weeks. Moss in 2007 was a furnace that never turned off. Week after week, he showed up and dominated like it was his job, which technically it was. But most people don't do their jobs this well. Coaches could game plan around him, didn't work. Defenses could focus on stopping him, didn't work. Teams could pray he'd have an off day, that definitely didn't work. Consistency over 16 games is what turned a good season into a historic one, and Moss was almost as consistent as sunrise. Now, if you think Randy Moss in 2007 was unstoppable, you need to see the cornerback who might be the only player who could have slowed him down. I'm talking about a defensive back so talented, so fast, so confident, that he made elite receivers look like they forgot how to run routes. A player who changed how the position was played and backed up every word of trash talk with performances that made quarterbacks throw to the other side of the field like his side didn't exist. Go watch why Deion Sanders might be the best corner of all time and see the one player who could have given 2007 Randy Moss actual problems. Trust me, prime time versus prime Moss would have been the kind of matchup that breaks television ratings. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. And remember, greatness isn't just about talent, meaning opportunity at exactly the right time, then absolutely destroying everyone in your path.